Good morning. Today is December 9, 2024. Be advised the City of New Brunswick has advertised a notice of today's scheduled budget hearing in the official newspaper of the Home News Tribune on November 29, 2024. A copy of the notice has been filed with the City Clerk's office. The 2024-25 Department budget hearing will now begin.
All right, welcome to the 2025 budget hearing. Just for clarification, this is a conversation between administration and the department and division heads, and there will be no questions from the public at this time. We'll get into it. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to review the budget lines in your control. The purpose of this budget hearing is to talk about the changes to the 2025 budget. In comparison to the 2024 adopted budget, preliminary as it relates to salary and wages and other expenses. There are also certain items in the state document that are enumerated, like certain grants, capital projects, etc., that we should feel comfortable to address. The important detail here is that the public has the 2024 adopted documents, and we should try to only be speaking about how the changes to the information as found in the 2024 adopted budget, as opposed to any internal budgeting processes. Our internal budgeting process and the data should not be discussion points at this time. Please feel free to start sharing any changes. I'll get into it this way. Do you anticipate any material changes to your department in 2025?
We do not project any. However, we have to monitor ongoing situations with the new White House administration. There could be potential cuts to our CDBG and home grant funds. As they did attempt to, they reduced them during the last Trump administration, and not tremendously, but they did by maybe about 10% or so, and they have tried to, in offered budgets, to reduce it to zero. Additionally, this, I believe, is the first year in fiscal 20, well, I guess it'd be state fiscal 26 to summer, that the UEZ funds will start tapering down, and so this year we only project to get 90% of the potential total allocation that will be available. Although both of those numbers, if we have those both reductions of about 10%, will probably not be significant, but they are real concerns, and at least with terms of the federal grants, kind of up in the air until the budget for HUD is adopted.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask real quick, does this impact at all the grant awards that have already been given and that we're still drawing down on?
No.
This is just
not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your department in operations and services to our residents?
Yes, we will continue as is.
Regarding our 2025 workforce, in this hearing we will only discuss the workforce in the aggregate, and it's not appropriate to discuss any individual employee. In preparation of this hearing, you should have done preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 workforce changes, including retirements and changes in workflow demands. Do you anticipate any material changes to salary and wages with the budget in 2025? Regarding our 2025 other expenses, in preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of possible 2025 contracts and purchases. Do you anticipate any material changes to the other expenses line on any one-time large expenditure in 2025?
We do not. We anticipate potentially repurposing some budgeted funds that might be better served targeting other services that might be beneficial to the department. An example is that due to increased competition, there have been for a couple of years now services where you can do online submission of plans. Right now we're taking them online, but there are more advanced systems where you can set up a formal application system, intake, editing, and reviews of those plans. Due to increased competition, the prices have collapsed over the last couple of years, and it might be a good opportunity to explore using some funds that we didn't deploy in prior years to obtain this service or software. But no anticipated increases or decreases of any meaningful level.
Thank you. Please list your preliminary capital request for 2025, including the purchase, proposed amount, and lifespan of the investment.
I typically don't put anything in for capital. This year we have in approximately $600,000 for capital for the Urban Investment Fund match component of the city's projects. We're still waiting to hear back on EDA authorization. I believe last conversation I had with them was in November, and I think they said anticipated approval of projects would be in February of 25. So a little bit to be determined on that front, but we budgeted our match in the capital section.
And just for clarification, those are the projects that are along George Street.
The George Street and the
And
and there's a little triangle on Albany Street, yes. And life of the projects would be indefinite.
Okay. Are there any other items that we should discuss for this budget?
I don't think so.
No, it's pretty complete, and thank you for all that information.
Okay.
Terrific. Thanks, Dan.
That
That's it.
covers both?
Well, that covers everything in your department, correct?
Yes.
Is there any other piece?
Which one are you thinking of?
135? Jeremy Solomon?
Oh, the Board of Adjustment, zoning Board of Adjustment. You can work that out probably pretty quick, because I don't think there's any other expenses, it's just salaries.
If you want the answer to the
Sure.
questions, nothing is changing.
Nothing's changing, okay.
There's no materials, no revenues, or any kind of expenses.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, that should cover both of them.
Okay.
Awesome, Dan, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
What we're going to do right now, since we have all of you as division heads and assistants, Keith cannot join us today, and we'll go through one by one. So we'll start with you, Ed, and work our way down to you, Ivan.
Great. Well, thank you. What I'd like to do is...
I actually have a list of questions, so we'll just kind of follow from there. But yes, if you want.
Oh, okay. You have to excuse me, this is my first.
No worries.
I still get to claim new kid, right?
Yeah,
So-
we've got another year before.
Right. Sounds good. Well, thank you. So just by way of a general overview, one of the things I wanted to do was just describe the purpose of the department, which is in fact quality of life. That's where we deal with the city, and that's areas of quality of life. So everywhere from recreation and how recreation works with parks, to our inspections division, to arts and culture. It's all about the city's quality of life, and so with that.
Terrific, thank you. This morning we're going to be reviewing the budget lines under your control. The purpose of the budget hearings is to talk about changes to the 2025 budget in comparison to the 2024 adopted budget preliminarily as it relates to salary and wages and other expenses. There are also certain items in the state document that are enumerated, like certain grants, capital projects, etc., that we should feel comfortable to address. The important detail here is that the public has the 2024 adopted documents, and we should only be speaking about how those changes to the information as found in the 2024 adopted budget, as opposed to any internal budgeting process. Our internal budgeting processes and the data should not be a discussion point today. Then we'll kind of just go into some of our questions here. Do you anticipate any material changes to revenues in your department, or actually in your case, the division in 2025?
So the material changes for 2025 would be the addition of one part-time person. That would be support for our emergency services, which would include Code Red, Code Blue, and the Dignity Center. And that is anticipated to be funded by a grant, which we have already submitted the application for to Middlesex County for those emergency services. And in the area of arts and culture, the city has also submitted a grant application where we would anticipate the addition of one FTE should we be successful.
Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your department's operations and services to our residents?
Yes.
Regarding your 2025 workforce, in this hearing we will only discuss the workforce in the aggregate, and it is not appropriate to discuss any individual employee. In preparation of this hearing, you should have done preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 workforce changes, including retirements and changes in workflow demands. Do you anticipate any material changes to salary and wages budget line for 2025?
No.
Regarding your 2025 other expenses, in preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of possible 2025 contracts and purchases. Do you anticipate any material changes to other expenses line or any one-time large expenditures in 2025?
No.
Please list your preliminary capital request for 2025, including the purchase, proposed amount, and lifespan of the investment.
Consistent with 2024, we anticipate renewals in the area of our murals program and potentially, again, if successful with the grant applications, there might be some additional renewal and replacement projects to support arts and culture.
But not traditional capital expenditures.
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any other items that we should discuss in this budget area?
No.
All right, thank you. All right, next steps. I will go through this little speech also just to for you. All right. We are going to be reviewing the budget lines under your control. The purpose of this budget hearing is to talk about changes to the 2025 budget in comparison to the 2024 adopted budget, preliminarily as it relates to salary and wages and other expenses. There are also certain items in the state document that are enumerated, like certain grants, capital projects, etc., that we should feel comfortable to address. The important detail here is that the public has the 2024 adopted documents, and we shall only be speaking about how these changes to the information as found in 2024 adopted budget, as opposed to any internal budgeting processes. Our internal budgeting process and the data should not be a discussion point today. Please have the 2024 adopted budget. Don't worry. We'll jump right into this. Do you have any anticipated? Do you anticipate any material changes to revenue in your department or division in 2025?
No.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your department operations and service to our residents?
We may look for some, but we don't have any right now.
So you don't have any current grants, okay. Regarding your 2025 workforce, in this hearing we will only discuss the workforce in the aggregate, and it is not appropriate to discuss any individual employee. In preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 workforce changes, including retirements and changes in workflow demands. Do you anticipate any material changes to the salary and wage budget line for 2025?
No.
Regarding your 2025 other expenses, in preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 contracts and purchases. Do you anticipate any material changes to other expenses line or any one-time large expenditures in 2025? Please list your preliminary capital request for 2025, including the purchase, proposed amount, and lifespan of the investment.
Vehicles.
How many vehicles?
4.
4 vehicles, okay. Do you have the approximation of the
I
cost?
am not able to get out of the system that I use.
Okay.
It's blocked by the, I guess, I don't know what it's called. It's a block.
Okay. Well, you'll include that sheet. Are there any other items that we should discuss in this budget area?
No.
Terrific. Thank you. Let's do the same thing. We're going to review the budget lines under your control. The purpose of this budget hearing is to talk about the changes to the 2025 budget in comparison to the 2024 adopted budget, preliminarily as it relates to the salary and wages and other expenses. There are also certain items in the state document that are enumerated, like certain grants, capital projects, etc., that we should feel comfortable to address. The important detail here is that the public has the 2024 adopted documents, and we should only be speaking about how the changes to the information as found in the 2024 adopted budget as opposed to any internal budgeting processes. Our internal budget processes and data should not be a discussion point today. Okay, do you anticipate any material changes to revenues in your department or division? Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your department operations and service to our residents?
Yes.
Are there specific grants?
We are maintaining the Parks and Rec grant. And we are going to look for other park improvement grants, as well as try to reestablish the grant we get from J&J. J&J.
Regarding your 2025 workforce, in this hearing we will only discuss the workforce in the aggregate, and it's not appropriate to discuss any individual employee. In preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 workforce changes, including retirements and changes to the workflow demands. Do you anticipate any material changes to the salary and wages budget line for 2025?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Both the seasonal and permanent staff, I put a slight increase in hourly wages for them to more be accurately account what they're currently doing, to capture what they're currently doing. The responsibility has increased dramatically over the last year in recreation. As far as with more events, we have a mascot. We must suit up and make him available. So sometimes it's a part-time staff that does that.
Okay.
Things like that.
Terrific, thank you. Regarding your 2025 other expenses, in preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of the possible 2025 contracts and purchases. Do you anticipate any material changes to other expenses line or any one-time large expenditures in 2025?
No one time, but I added mascots maintenance.
Please list your preliminary capital request for 2025, including the purchase, proposed amount, and lifespan of the investment.
I have two. One is new carpeting in our media room. The carpeting there is over 20 years old. It's about $20 grand project. And the other would be a new vehicle. I asked for a pickup truck at about $30,000.
Are there any other items that we should discuss in this budget area?
No.
Rich, do you have any questions?
No, I was just going to ask, is we doing recycling under Human and Community Services, or is it?
That goes to Tom.
And then they have two in there, one that they did, and we have to clarify that there was no sanitation and inspection. Recycling.
Yes, do the inspections, all the other stuff was going through.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no, that was very helpful.
All right, terrific, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We're going to be reviewing the budget lines under your control.
Okay.
The purpose of this budget hearing is to talk about changes to the 2025 budget in comparison to the 2024 adopted budget, preliminarily as it relates to the salary and wages and other expenses. There are also certain items in the state document that are enumerated, like certain grants, capital projects, etc., that we should feel comfortable to address. The important detail here is that the public has the 2024 adopted documents, and we should only be speaking about how these changes to the information as found in the 2024 adopted budget, as opposed to any internal budgeting processes. The internal budgeting processes and data should not be a discussion point today. Please have the 2024. Do you anticipate any material changes to your department or division in 2025?
In reference to,
Just overall, any material changes, like large changes?
Revenue-wise, I think the question, revenues?
Yeah.
Yeah, revenues.
no, I don't believe so.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your department operations and service to our
That
residents?
doesn't apply to us.
What I thought. Regarding your 2025 workforce, in this hearing we will only discuss the workforce in the aggregate, and it's not appropriate to discuss any individual employee. In preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 workforce changes, including retirements and changes in workflow demands. Do you anticipate any material changes to salary and wage budget line for 2025?
No.
Regarding your 2025 other expenses, in preparation of this hearing, you should have done preliminary analysis of possible 2025 contracts and purchases. Do you anticipate any material changes to other expenses line or any one-time large expenditures in 2025?
No.
Please list your preliminary capital requests for 2025, including the purchase, proposed amount, and lifespan of the investment.
So we have one capital,
Okay.
and that's security cameras in the courtroom and in the overall halls. And the estimated is 23,000.
Do you know what the lifespan on that is estimated to be?
That I do not
Okay.
know.
Are there any other items that we should discuss in this budget?
No.
Rich, any questions?
No, straightforward.
Yeah.
Very straightforward.
That's it then.
That's all.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to review the budget lines under your control. The purpose of this budget hearing is to talk about changes to the 2025 budget in comparison to the 2024 adopted budget, preliminarily as it relates to salary and wages and other expenses. There are also certain items in the state documents that are enumerated, like certain grants, capital projects, etc., that we should feel comfortable to address. The important detail here is that the public has the 2024 adopted documents, and we should only be speaking about how the changes to the information as found in 2024 adopted budget, as opposed to any internal budgeting processes. Our internal budgeting processes and the data should not be a discussion point today. Do you anticipate any material changes to revenue in your department or division in 2025?
I do not.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your department's operation and service to our residents?
So at this time, the city clerk's office does not have any opportunity for grant funding,
Okay.
so that would be no.
Regarding your 2025 workforce, in this hearing we will only discuss the workforce in the aggregate, and it is not appropriate to discuss any individual employee. In preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 workforce changes, including retirements and changes in workflow demands. Do you anticipate any material changes to the salary and wage budget line for 2025?
I do not anticipate any changes.
Regarding your 2025 other expenses, in preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of possible 2025 contracts and purchases. Do you anticipate any material changes to other expenses line or any one-time large expenditures in 2025?
No.
Please list your preliminary capital request for 2025, including the purchase, proposed amount, and lifespan of the investment.
I do not have any.
Are there any other items that we should discuss in your
Not at
budget?
this time.
No?
Thank you.
Rich, do you have any questions?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
That was really easy.
My budget is easy.
Yes. Terrific. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome. Do you want to discuss accounts 100 with the council members?
They don't have any OE, so and I think
Right,
the
there's
just
gonna
the
be no
salary.
changes, everything is pretty much the same, the only thing that we'll do is allocate the same money that is given to the current council president and vice president and give it to the ones who will be sworn in 2025. Other than that, no changes.
Terrific.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
This will be very directed, you know, we
Yeah,
have questions
okay,
we'll
positive.
ask, and then we'll have some open comments at the end.
Okay,
We are going to review the budget lines under your control.
okay.
The purpose of the budget hearing is to talk about changes to the 2025 budget in comparison to the 2024 adopted budget, preliminarily as it relates to salary and wages and other expenses. There are also certain items in the state document that are enumerated, like certain grants, capital projects, etc., that we should feel comfortable to address. The important detail here is that the public has the 2024 adopted documents, and we should only be speaking about how the changes to the information as found in 2024 adopted budget, as opposed to any internal budgeting processes. Our internal budgeting processes and data should not be a discussion point today. So, first question is, do you anticipate any material changes to revenues in your department or division in 2025?
No, I don't. The bulk of our non-city money comes from the state aid, which is in formula, and from miscellaneous fees and others, which is now primarily the municipal IDs.
Victor? Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your department's operations and services to our residents?
We continue to look for grants. We have recently received the county history and cultural grants have been a long-term source for our photo contest, our Holy Festival. We also have found, we have a grant project running at the moment through Senator Booker's office to help people develop their skills in language so that they, and in computer skills. We just have a new grant from, which is not a cash grant, but the Literacy Minnesota through the AmeriCorps is supplying us with a digital navigator. It is always surprising to people who are involved with computers how many people still have challenges. And you know, if you've never done them, set up an account, pick a password, and enter challenge questions. Yeah, I mean, that is not as simple as it sounds if you've done it 20 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you, Bob. Regarding your 2025 workforce, in this hearing we will only discuss the workforce in the aggregate, and it is not appropriate to discuss any individual employee. In preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 workforce changes, including retirements and change in workflow demands. Do you anticipate any material changes to salary and wage budget line for 2025?
Not any material changes. We do have a number of staff members who have served for many, many years. Apparently, people who work at the library like to work at the library. And they have contributed a valuable service every year. But as one ages, the unexpected can happen. So I wouldn't make any.
At this time, we would be about the same.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Terrific. Regarding your 2025 other expenses, in preparation of this hearing, you should have done a preliminary analysis of a possible 2025 contracts and purchases. Do you anticipate any material changes to other expenses, the other expenses line, or any one-time large expenditure in 2025?
Not in the other expenses. The largest categories are library materials, primarily books. Next is heat and fuel.
Yeah.
So,
Usual expenses. Please list your preliminary capital requests for 2025, including the purchase, proposed amount, and lifespan of the investment.
okay. As always, we do have an item in there for new computer equipment, which will become even more essential as Microsoft withdraws their support for Windows 10. And we cycle our hardware from the offices then into public access. And even though we do buy substantially durable hardware,
the public can be very, what's the word? Not demanding, but
Unforgiving.
unforgiving.
Oh, it's being used, that's good to hear.
Yeah. And then we have the interior painting item and the repairs of the walls. We have an item in there for the HVAC replacements. While many of the, there are 8 separate units, and the problem is that they have been very durable, which means that they are old. And at a certain point in time, the companies that do the repairs find out that it takes a longer and longer time to get replacement parts, and then eventually it becomes impossible. And if you don't replace them, then you end up with finding out when the temperature hits 102 outside that 3 of the air conditioners just died.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have the amounts for each of the requests?
I have approximate amounts. The architectural firm we're working with is in process of producing more exact ones.
Okay. So it's in process. And the computers, do you know how much?
Well, we put in $25,000 because we have found that that will buy enough computers each time, and there are also things like printers and routers and servers. Yeah. So.
Okay. Are there any other items that we should discuss in this budget?
Not off the top of my head.
All right, terrific. Rich, do you have any questions?
No, Bob's budget's pretty straightforward as well.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
And as I always say, we are lucky to have a great Stafford library. And,
Yes.
Yes, very much so.
You are. Done a great job.
Okay.
All right, terrific.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Absolutely, you too.
So this is a continuation from this morning's administrative budget hearings. This morning, everything was properly noticed and informed?
Yes.
The clerk provided?
Yes, open the public hearing, everything, yes.
Great, okay. And at the time, the public was, I'm just going to restate a couple things because it's starting our second session. The public was notified, the administrative hearings were advertised and available for public to participate by listening, but there's no public hearing portion for the public to comment. The public will be ready to examine the draft budget when it's introduced in 2025 and comment on it during the public comment period prior to the vote for adoption of the council. So my name is Michael Drillis, City Administrator. You can introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Richard Moore, I'm the Director of Finance and Chief Financial Officer for the city.
Melanie Ford, Director of Social Services and the New Brunswick Senior Citizen Resource Center.
Melanie Aaron, Director of Youth Services System.
Lady Ramirez, Registrar of the State of New Brunswick.
Wonderful.
And absent is Melissa Mantuano, who is the Office Supervisor for the Dollar Department.
Okay.
Covering her.
That's wonderful. Okay. All right. So in that we have a large department with various divisions. Ms. Ford, how do you want to do this? Do you want to go one at a time, or why don't you guide me?
Okay, if we could go one at a time, starting at 710, Health Department, then the New Brunswick Senior Center, 721, and then 722 would be Dollar Ride, and then the last department, 765, YSS.
Wonderful. Okay. So starting with health, 710?
Yes.
All right. All right, so we're going to, you see in front of Mr. Morwine, we have our 2024 adopted budget in front of us. So the discussions today are to initiate the beginning of our 2025 budget planning. It's to, as department heads and leaders in the government, to start to do our planning prior to the year actually occurring. Also, it's an opportunity for the public to engage and understand that this is the time of year to do this. So, do you anticipate any, this is for you, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you anticipate any material change in revenues for your department in 2025?
We do not anticipate.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants that will assist your operations?
There are no grants in the department.
Okay. Just briefly tell us a little bit about how your department works.
We issue the birth, death, and marriage records for the city of New Brunswick. Everything that happened in New Brunswick, basically. We also issue dog and cat licenses, and we also hold rabies clinics twice a year.
That's great. All right. Do you anticipate in this hearing we only discuss things in the aggregate, particularly as it relates to salary, wages, and employees. So we don't want to talk about anyone's names. We don't want to reveal anything that would lead us to believe it's a person or not. So do you expect any changes in your workforce in 2025, retirements or?
No.
Okay. In the area of other expenses in preparation for the hearing, you've probably looked at your 2025 contracts. Maybe some of them are 24 to 25. Those contracts that are in place and those expect to be in place, do you expect any major changes to those?
No.
Okay. Do you have any capital request?
Yes, I do. I would like to get the birth and death match records that are in office to be digitized, because basically they're in front of sprinkler system. And a company did come and they gave me a quote, which comes in 3 phases at $36,995 for the first one. And then the other 2 are $36,465.40. So the total amount for the whole thing will be $109,926.20.
Are there certain standards you have to maintain to stay in compliance with the state as it relates to these records?
They're permanent records. They have to maintain within the city. And then once they get digitized, they have to be placed somewhere where they would be away from all the elements, basically.
Okay. All right. This would be an opportunity to find a grant because there is often a lot of initiatives in government right now to digitize these records. It not only protects the records, but it makes them more accessible.
Right.
So I'd suggest that you, through your own organization, and Susan Malika, she's great. She does a lot of grant work throughout the city. See if there's anything out there.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Anything else? Great.
I would just offer, we've been doing a lot of that in my office lately, digitization of records, and so we've been working with some great vendors that do that, so I could put you in touch with some people that maybe could give us some more quotes to see.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I like that.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, next I have 721.
Yes, 721 is the New Brunswick Senior Citizen Resource Center.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to take me through your notes, or would you like me to ask you the questions?
Okay,
I know you've got notes. I know you've got.
Yes, I do. We don't anticipate any material changes to revenue for our department for 2025. In terms of pursuing or renewing grants, we do intend to do that, and that would be through the Middlesex County Office of Aging and Disabled Services, and that would be the 3 grants: information and assistance, congregate meals, as well as public awareness. In terms of do we anticipate any material changes to the salary and wages, it's a possibility of a retirement. And then we're also looking to bring on, or requesting to bring on, a building maintenance worker. And that is due to the increase of seniors joining, especially during our special events. And this would help us to have someone on site Monday through Friday, all day long, to be able to make sure that the facility is safe and clean at all times. In terms of anticipating any material changes to OE or any one large time expenditure in 2025, as we look to bring on a building maintenance worker, then that would mean that we would forego the janitorial contract that we have. But of course, we're going to hold on until we're able to get someone in place. In terms of capital improvement, yes, we were requesting 3 capital improvement requests, one being for vehicle maintenance and repair. We have 3 20-passenger vehicles, 2019, 2010, and 2008. So that would be one, just to continue with the upkeep of maintenance and repair. The second request would be for building maintenance and repair. We are currently residing in a 40-year-old building and just needs a lot of TLC. And then the third capital improvement request would be to replace a 33-year-old 6-burner electric range with an oven. Currently, out of the 6 burners that we have, 3 are inoperable. So when we try to get it repaired, the parts are obsolete. So that's something that's definitely crucial and critical for us with our congregate meal program.
You want to replace a stovetop with an oven, you said?
No, it's an electric range
Okay.
with an oven. So the range top, 6 burners on top, and then the oven underneath.
Okay.
And then in terms of any other items to discuss, just to say that we've been celebrating our 50th anniversary at the Senior Center, and it's been incredible from January through December with multiple events. Our numbers are growing. We're getting a lot of baby boomers as well.
That's great.
And we just had our most recent event, which was our Thanksgiving Day celebration, in which we opened up our doors to members of the Senior Center and provide a home-cooked meal for them. And we served approximately 100 individuals. So it's going very well.
I was bragging to colleagues how you somehow managed to crack that baby boomer generation and get their attention.
Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
Because a lot of communities aren't able to do that.
Thank
Good.
you. Thank you. That's it for us.
That's it? All right.
Okay.
765,
722.
722, sure.
Dollar Ride, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. For Dollar Ride, they don't expect any material changes to their revenue in their department. Do they intend to continue with their grants and offerings? Yes, and that would be with the Parker Health Foundation. In terms of their workforce, yes, they are looking to request the conversion of an existing part-time employee to a full-time employee, and this would be an omnibus operator, and that is provided the individual successfully passes the CDL training. And then with regards to 2025 other expenses, Dollar Ride will be celebrating their 50th anniversary in 2025. So we're very, very excited about that, and looking to do an open house at the Dollar Ride area, perhaps in the parking lot, and then also to do a joint activity with the New Brunswick Senior Citizen Resource Center as well. So we're very, very excited about that because we have many of our seniors that actually utilize Dollar Ride services. And then in terms of capital improvement, there are 2 requests. One being a replacement of a 2012 8+1 Ford Crusader. It's approximately 103 miles on it. And Ms. Mantuano is requesting to replace it with a 10+1 passenger vehicle.
I'm sorry, the Ford Crusader is how many current?
103,000 miles.
Right, but what is the passenger capacity?
It's an 8+1.
8+1. 8
And-
passengers,
Yes.
one wheelchair kind of
Yes.
thing? Okay.
And then to move it to a 10+1. And this vehicle has been in repairs out of the 12 months, she said 6 months of the year. So really, we just need to put it to rest and get a reliable vehicle for Dollar Ride. And then the second capital improvement request would be for building maintenance and repairs. Dollar Ride exists within the Joyce Kimmer House, which is an historic site. The rear of the building was built in like the 1700s, and the front part of it the 1800s. So there's always something going on there that needs to be repaired. And then in terms of anything new, again, that would be their 50th anniversary that they're going to be celebrating in 2025.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
765?
Yes.
You may read Michael.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your division real quick.
So YSS has after-school programs in 8 elementary schools except Paul Robinson. We also have a Play Safe program that is between 8 to 11 sites in the summer. We are one of the largest program that caters to at-risk youth that's also trauma-informed in Middlesex County, if not New Jersey. We also work in partnership with Municipal Alliance. I'm the Municipal Alliance Chair. My Assistant Director, Sarah McGee, is the coordinator, which also offers supplements programs within YSS and Play Safe, which YSS supports. That involve in good choice making, peer leadership, self-respect, hygiene, and whatever else our stakeholders feel is important topics discussed with our students and community.
Great, thank you. All right, so do you anticipate any major changes in 2025?
No.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue grants or seek new ones?
Yes, currently we continue to have an annual Municipal Alliance grant. That's $24,056. And we also have a supplemental grant, which we obtained from DeMoss, which for $5,000 for a total of $29,56 from Municipal Alliance to support our YSS and Play Safe initiatives.
Who was the funder?
It's DeMoss funds $5,000 and Middlesex County Municipal Alliance funds the $24,056.
Okay. You have a sizable workforce, about part-timers, some full-timers. Do you anticipate any changes in your workforce for 2025?
No.
Okay. How about contracts, other expenses?
No.
Okay. And capital request?
Just to replace the 2006 SUV that was Dodge Durango that was towed and jumped to Central Garage on 11/28/23. This vehicle is used for the director to assess multiple sites to make sure that operations and policies are being in place and just to support full-time staff as they operate all our sites during YSS and Play Safe.
It's only for city employees to be transferred.
Yeah, it would just be myself, site to site with my assistant director.
Okay. Great. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Mr. Moran?
No, no questions.
That's it.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for your time.
Happy holidays.
Very prepared. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
All right. Moving on. Earlier we discussed that, and this is it's an administrative hearing, there's no public comment, that we're having a discussion, and that this is properly noticed, etc. So why don't we just quickly, for the benefit of folks who may not be here, Michael Drillis, City Administrator.
Rich Moran, CFO and Director of Finance.
Tom Valenti, Director of Engineering and Public Works.
Salto Salsa, Superintendent Parks.
Victor Fair, Superintendent Public Works.
All right, and so each of these gentlemen represent various different divisions, and Tom, you as a department head, so we'll have a conversation and you guys jump in as it's helpful.
Very good.
So, Tom, I can ask you these questions, I guess your questions,
Okay.
and then start with engineering, how about that? So, do you anticipate any material changes in revenues for engineering this year?
No.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue the renewal of grants and new offerings of grants?
Yes.
What kind of grants are typical?
Mostly Department of Transportation. We get local aid, which is really for roadway projects, and then urban aid kicks in. And then another category is the Freight Impact Fund, which is also a DOT fund. So that we utilize both those application processes to try to get grants for roadways.
Great. Do you expect any major changes in your workforce in 2025, retirements?
Yes, Judy won't...
avoid using names, I'm sorry.
Long-time Secretary of the Department Head intends to retire May 1st. So I'm anticipating having another clerk in there. Other than that, so whatever terminal leave, that kind of things have to be accounted for in the budget.
All right. The contracts that support your department, other expenses, etc., do you expect any major changes there?
No, what we would call other contractuals, we intend continued support from 2 engineering houses that are supporting us now.
And just because you mentioned it, talk briefly about what those services that they provide to the city are.
Okay, one of the services actually is where we have our city engineer currently is being employed, and then that same company offers us additional support from an engineering point of view. We have another company that does what's known as miscellaneous services, so we tend to use them for some stormwater issues and also traffic issues as well.
Capital request out of engineering?
We expect that where it ends up, it'll be a sanitary sewer capital request. There'll be a stormwater capital request as well, and then also an engineering. Engineering, we probably are going to need a new wide format copier scanner. The current ones we have are probably 12 years old or 15 years old. They're surviving, but they're becoming more expensive to keep them up. And then we'll need some new equipment in the overhead flashing lights at our schools. Those don't tend to be that expensive, but we'll have to get new the guts, the housings and the lights are all in good shape. So it's a matter of some equipment redone. In addition, the county will be doing a culvert rehab at Triangle Road, which we have a sewer line in there, so we are responsible for the cost of sewer. That'll be for that portion of the project. That'll be also an ask.
You bring that up, if the county initiates a project, we have an obligation to do it.
That's correct, yes, because our sanitary line happens to be at that location. If it wasn't, then it wouldn't be the case. But also, we were just granted Lee, Harvey, and Welton Streets through transportation, so I have to add our portion of the capital. That'll be a request for that portion of the capital.
Can we assume from your comments on the storm and the sanitary requests or distribution items?
That is correct, yes. Technically collection items, but
Thank
collection
you.
versus distribution.
Thank you. Collection, different, flows differently. Good. Anything else in engineering?
No, I don't believe so at this point.
Okay. You want to go to Department of Public Works?
Sure.
Parks?
Let's do DPW first, Department of Public Works. Specific to DPW, I don't see any vast changes. We're looking for maybe some title changes, Vic.
Yes.
And, but we, in general, maybe pick up one person or so, nothing crazy, I believe, correct?
Correct.
All right. He has filled out his capital requests. They're all pretty much in line with what we've done in previous years in terms of equipment replacements. Anything else that I'm missing there, Vic? That
No, it's just 4 pieces of equipment.
yeah, the only two items that we need to be pay attention on, we have anticipated the 2025 tipping fee, the increase in the tipping fee to the landfill. So we made a minor adjustment to our overall costs under contractuals in the Bureau of Garbage and Trash. We may have a similar situation with recycling. We participated in the contract with the Middlesex County Improvement Authority. That contract is up March 30th. So it's out to bid right now. We just don't know what the impact on the unit rate will be. Also,
Has the tipping fee been set for 25 already?
for sanitation, for the garbage, yes.
Okay.
Not the collection fee for recycling yet.
What do we expect that the bids are due back?
They said they'll have it awarded prior to that, so the route now, so I don't know if they're back before.
They'll have it awarded before March 30th?
Absolutely correct,
All right,
yes.
so that's within a period of time that we'll be assembling the budget.
Correct.
Thank you.
And our tonnage has been very consistent, both in recycling collections and also in trash. Over the last 5 years, we've very fluctuated within, we average about 18,000 tons a year, and our fluctuation is plus or minus 300 or 400 tons. That's pretty stable in terms of volume. Anything else that I'm missing as a highlight?
Just for sewers.
I'm sorry,
We need the sewers.
for the sewers.
Yeah.
Let's do that now.
Okay.
We got a standby pay increase.
Oh, this is for personnel?
Yes.
Specific to that, yes, that's fair. The current
agreement is, I forget what it is, pretty low for standby, so the guys are on prayer, that's a response. We're gonna ask for a modest increase in that.
Those titles in the MEA contract?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, sewer supervisor.
Those titles and those fees are, those wages are set by the MEA contract, correct?
No.
Okay, we'll have to look at it.
Okay. Anything else that I'm missing offhand?
The B&W contract. We
Okay,
have to increase the funding on that.
fair enough, yes. B&W is our labor and material contractor that will help us assist both us and the water department as it relates to sanitary or storm, major things that we can't repair right away, as well as they do for water. So we're going to probably look to increase the allotment for that.
Due to increased activity?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
There's been a genuine increase of activity in these divisions in terms
Yes.
of the street openings and
Mhm.
pursuing grants or just
Right.
general improvements and maintenance, so.
It's also a function of the continued growth of the city. The city
Mhm.
continues to grow, which is amazing, and that this is part of reacting to that.
Anything else?
So,
Okay, for Public Works. The only other thing I'm going to say is a positive thing, we now have a fuel management system where people have to fob in, so we'll be able to better ascertain which division's using more fuel or not. Right now it's all lumped into DPW, but it'll break because I know the fire gets their diesel from us, as well as the one, not that they use it that much, that one high water rescue truck the police has, that's also diesel.
Okay.
So anyway, that'll be helpful. It's also best management practice for us too, so, which is a good thing. Okay. That's it for pretty much the DPW.
All right. Parks?
Parks, yes. Right, let me just, sorry.
While you were getting that together, I went to Church of Sacred Heart. It was like the second, third Sunday in September. And I stopped by a feaster, and the park was just full of families
Oh, that's
and
great.
kids. And you see the different age kids, and
Right.
different aged playgrounds. And it was just packed, and it was the sound of children. It was wonderful. So
That's great. Okay, parks. Let's go to, from a personal side, we're going to ask to increase our workforce. We're going to probably see that we can get, was it five? We're going to ask for 5 laborers. And then we would probably reduce our seasonals at that point. That's correct. All right, so we're going to try to do an offset with that. We're still, it's still a high turnover with that type of personnel. So I think if we have a little bit more permanency offer, we might be able to retain some folks.
okay.
Also, we believe that the long-term admin at Parks may be retiring by the end of next year. So we're going to probably look to have another clerk here, a little bit of, redundancy time, overlap time. Then there'll be probably a terminal leave calculation to add into that in terms of
Okay.
that. We're looking for one title change, although labor 3 would be okay, but we'll propose a title change for one individual. We're not adding an individual, we're going to just make a title change, which is civil service title. Then we're going to propose 2 increases for our tree supervisor.
We're getting a little too specific
Okay.
for these hearings.
There'll be
So
2
we can talk
2
about that
requests for
in our
supervisors.
rework of our work.
Fair enough.
In that category.
Yep.
We have to protect
Yes.
the privacy of the employees in these hearings, so we don't want to indicate anything.
Okay, honestly, the capital is the one thing I didn't realize we were actually going to focus on capital. I mean, I did on my end, and Vic, I would have pushed out a little differently than as it relates to that, so, but,
If you still need more time,
Right.
that this is the beginning of the process, and that's okay, so.
the single biggest thing I think would be the pavilion. The pavilion needs a significant amount of work, so that will probably be the largest ticket item. That's,
The pavilion, do we have drawings? for the
yes,
pavilion?
they've had a whole investigation, it needs to be,
So we have the drawings done?
they're not, we have actually working drawings, they're not 100% done.
Okay.
But that was not, we wanted to focus on the bathrooms and the gazebo. That's what's in this budget, so that's going to go out to bid very quickly.
That's what I'm confused on. So
Right.
we've done that
Those are complete and ready to go.
on the way, okay.
Yes, but we do have working drawings to the building. They did investigations in the footings and all that stuff, so.
Okay,
All right.
good.
Any other significance other than those items? I don't think there's anything else that's significant.
Not significant.
Okay.
The gazebo, but that's,
That's already funded.
Right.
Gazebo in the bathroom is already funded. It's part of the 2024 budget, so.
How's the park on Nielsen coming along? A lot of activity there.
Yes, they're doing very well. We're very fortunate. We have a very good contractor.
The construction window seems to stay open for 24, a lot of progress.
They're even, to tell you what they're doing, when it was cold, they covered the areas of the ground where they're going to work tomorrow at night, so it doesn't freeze. They're very well thought out. They plan ahead. I'm very happy with that. They're a good contractor. A-Tech Concrete or Atlas Concrete, believe it or not. Ironically, that was my company name decades ago, but
No relation,
no relation, no.
Okay.
No, they're doing well.
Good.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Moran, anything else?
Very thorough, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Gentlemen, thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
So this is a continuation of hearings that began, administrative hearings that began this morning. At the time, we confirmed there was a public notification by our clerk. These are administrative hearings, so there is no public portion, but the public will have an opportunity to comment on the budget that moves through the regular budget process with the mayor and council. Just ask that we keep our discussion today, protect the privacy of employees, so no individual employees or anything about them. This is just a high-level discussion to engage in the beginning of our budget process prior to the start of the calendar year that we will have the budget for. And so, by way of introduction, Michael Drewell, City Administrator.
Rich Moran, Director of Finance and CFO.
Alexi Wallace, Director of Water Utility.
Great. Everything's on my pad, right? There we go. All right. So, in the utility, do you expect any material changes in revenues for the year?
They should go up a little bit, pending the next rate increase.
Okay. Do you intend to continue to pursue grants and that will assist your operations?
Absolutely.
I know you're dealing with large grants right now on the water treatment plant upgrade, lead service line, so. Your workforce in 2025, again, we're just talking about in the aggregate, but tell us a little bit about what your operation is and what you expect in 25.
We have personnel divided into several divisions, distribution, which is water mains, fire hydrants, basically, and then water treatment operations, which is the operators of the plant, as well as maintenance. We pull from the maintenance to do metering. We're still in a meter upgrade program. For 2025, we still have to build out the distribution division. We're a little shy on personnel there. That happened right around the time COVID hit, and never really quite got back up to full strength there. The goal is to get back to that in 2025. Same thing with plant operators. We're short-staffed there, filling some shifts on overtime. On the maintenance side of things, we're okay, although we did steal a couple employees to do meter changes, and they will stay in that role, so we'll have to fill out on the maintenance and repair side of things too. We should also look towards developing a watershed division, even if it's just one person in 2025.
Why would we do that?
We have a 48 square mile watershed, which is
decent size. We know very little about it in terms of stormwater outfalls. We do have some maps with potential point sources of contamination if there are any, but we know nothing about it. We haven't taken samples and studied the 48 square miles there. There's 4 dams with 4 lakes or ponds, reservoirs, whatever you want to call them, behind that. And then there's streams that feed it. So salt, road salt is an issue. And again, we really don't know where our sources are.
We're not currently required by law to know that. But this,
no, but
this would help
it
us.
is something, we are now starting to experience algal blooms every summer. What are the sources of the nutrients for those, and can we mitigate it? If we know where they're coming from, then we can start to look at ways to mitigate it.
So when you have these contaminants, it just makes operating the plant more difficult, more expensive.
More chemicals, maybe we have to stop taking from the Lawrence Brook and take exclusively from the canal, and then we pay more because we're exceeding the 10.5 million gallons a day that we have paid for already.
So it seems like it's a good planning tool as well.
Correct.
Okay. Staying on personnel, I understand that you now have a sampling division.
Excuse me, yes. Looking to develop that out a little bit. Right now it's just a coordinator or supervisor. We would want to develop a sampler and then even a second sampler because we practically sample every day. And that's not going to get smaller or easier, that's going to increase as more regulations come. There's more sampling to do.
Great.
And if we're also starting to understand the watershed or want to understand it, there's going to be more sampling to do there.
Okay. Other expenses, other contractuals, any major changes there?
Nothing new really, but they are up. We're relying more on our general consulting engineer on things related to water treatment plant upgrades, and the like, as well as meeting all new regulations.
Did you say there's more activity?
Yes.
And would you say that's driving some of the cost?
Yes.
And this activity you said was from regulation as well as some of the major improvements that the utilities undertake?
Correct. For 25, I'm anticipating a 57% increase in that category. And in that category, includes sampling of all kinds, Legionella, which is a emerging contaminant that we're going to have to sample for. We already sampled for it, but there's going to have to be a program, probably a little more robust than what we're doing, once we understand the regulations.
This is a new law set place.
Yeah. Cyanobacteria. It used to be a once in a while thing, harmful bacteria, algae blooms in the source waters. It now seems to be an annual thing and spreading throughout the summer instead of just the beginning and the end. Very expensive samples to test for. Lead and copper sampling, it only gets bigger. Even though we're replacing service lines, we're now going to be required to provide filter pictures. If we replace a service line, and then we have to do sampling for those houses too. Haven't heard what the time frame is, how long you have to provide the picture and how long you do the sampling, but I'm anticipating at least a couple of rounds, 6-month rounds. So those are some of the things that are driving that category of services.
All right, let's talk a little bit about capital.
Okay.
You're in the middle of a very robust capital program now.
Mm-hmm. 2025 out of the gate is no different. I have about 17 million in there, which is up from the numbers we had, but we had a spurt here at the end of this year to get a bunch of projects, water mains and otherwise, so those are now included into the 25 ask. Water mains is the biggest portion of it, probably 2/3. Water mains, we kill a couple birds with one stone. We're replacing water mains that are problematic, have breaks, heavy tuberculation to where the inside end of the pipe has shrunk down, water quality complaints through discolored water and such. But we also then replace the services to the curb, so it is one way of mitigating galvanized or lead services as part of that program.
Some of the water mains have been as a result of other departments and divisions opening roads or getting grants for.
All of these, I'm trying to stay ahead of those projects. So where upgrades to the road's going to be? Have we done the water mains in those areas? No. Then all right, then I'll try to do a project ahead of that.
Right. That way we don't have to open up a newly paved road.
So it cuts down on the cost a little bit in terms of the restoration on the water department's.
Okay. Okay. The other thing too, when in these capital requests, using the example of the water treatment plant, we were able to secure outside funding. So even though these numbers are large on the spend side, we're able to offset some of it with different grants from DEP and IBank programs. The water utility has been a benefactor of that.
Correct.
Okay. All right, what else in capital?
Then there's normal annual capital insertion valves. We spent some monies there. It's the ability to have valves in the water main without disrupting service. You do it hot and while the main's under pressure. There are many valves that are inoperable in the city, or they're just not enough of them. When the mains were laid in 120 years ago, they were very stingy on valves. Same thing with new fire hydrants. We are currently replacing fire hydrants that date back as far as 1930. They've long outlived their useful life. Can't get parts for them. Distribution system repairs, big ask for 2025.
I'm sorry, pause for a moment. You have had a fire hydrant plan for some time.
We've been replacing annually somewhere on, give or take, 20, 25 hydrants a year, not including the new water mains. Wherever we're doing a new water main, we're replacing hydrants.
So just as part of that ongoing plan?
So this is part of the ongoing plan. This is away from any water main work that would be happening.
Thank you.
Distribution system repairs, we've been averaging about $1 million a year in terms of water main break repairs or similar. This also includes the cost for replacing hydrants outside of water main installations. A little bit of an ask for new cold water meters, only $150,000. We should kind of get into an idling in 2025 that we've upgraded everything and now we're just replacing, as batteries die and stuff like that. Same ask basically for electrical and equipment upgrades. There's a lot that's still very, very old. New vehicle purchases, $350,000. It's the same as that I had last year.
Heavy?
Nothing real in terms of equipment. Yeah, not for next year. As we fill out the distribution division, then we would kind of be looking for maybe for an additional big dump truck and a backhoe. But no sense just yet. SCADA upgrades and water quality panels. I have $250,000 there. We're going to be putting another water quality panel as part of the Van Dyke tank. throughout the distribution system and report back to SCADA in real time. Chlorine levels, pH, pressure, turbidity, conductivity. There's also a security element to that if somebody were introducing something to the water, that should throw some of those parameters off, and we can alarm those when there's a spike in pH either up or down, or chlorine disappears, things like that. So, kind of envision having about at least 6 water quality panels throughout the distribution system.
Good.
We have 3 right now, 1 here at City Hall.
We don't have to list the locations if you don't mind. All right.
Police extra duty, so I'm not siphoning that off so much from water mains, main work, even though that's what it's really for. General consulting. I did put the $58 million for the water treatment plant upgrade phase 2 in here, but no recommended dollar amount, just so it's there. Same thing with the Van Dyke water tank. It looks like for 25 we'll finally get the ball rolling on dam repairs. I didn't put any money in for that because there was money in the 23 budget dedicated to that that hasn't been spent.
We expect that under contract in 25.
Yeah. Gatehouse roofs, those are the historic structures at the water treatment plant. We're going to be awarding that contract at the next council meeting. But I just put it in.
These were contemplated in previous budget years.
They had been on and off before. What kind of pushed them along here now is to tie up the ARPA funds.
So let's just mechanically, if the two of you could take a moment and make sure that what we have in 25 isn't represented somewhere else. But thanks for putting it there so that we can use a checklist.
I put $500,000 towards what I call the water treatment plant upgrade phase 3. Again, with the PFAS regulations coming, we're going to have to do something more than what we're doing now, and that'll involve some sort of a expansion of the current treatment train. And I put in $462,000 for another complete cell of modules. The oldest modules, membrane modules at the plant now were installed in 2014. They are becoming a bit of a maintenance headache. They find that after about 8 years, the maintenance that you have to perform on them outweighs the benefit to new modules.
These new modules are the new technology in modules. They're even more effective.
These are the ones that we put in 2014 were already that model, the new model. Because we're also with phase 2 of the water treatment plant project, upgrade project, we're going to be doing something called direct filtration, and it might behoove us to make sure that we have all of our membrane cells performing at that top capacity. And that's something that would happen in 26, I think it would be. So if we do that in 25, then we're in a better position for 2026 in terms of water quality production at the plant.
Anything else we should talk about in your budget?
I think I covered it all.
I think you did too. Thank you. Very thorough, Mr. Mulray.
Yeah, I just want to ask, my known past years we've talked about and had concerns about increasing chemical costs. Do you?
There was right now I was a little surprised that we exceeded what we had anticipated for this year by a little bit already. And the season wasn't closed out, so I did do a projection for 25, and it's quite high. I think it's way too high, but that's what the ratio nets you when you do it. You know, I started to look in there to make sure there wasn't something wrong with those figures. I do know we had challenges over the summer It saw us feeding more coagulant, which is one of the more expensive chemicals than we would normally do with the algae blooms that we were experiencing. It did add to operating costs in terms of chemicals. So that might explain a lot of that.
Just looking at the invoices, the cost of the chemicals continue to go up.
Yes.
No matter what quantity you order. There really was no rebound from COVID. It just, whatever went up
Whatever
stayed up.
stayed up, yeah.
And then given the quality of the raw water and how much rainfall or no rainfall will drive how much chemical you have to use.
Correct.
So it really is a projection at best.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of the summer up until the end of July, it rained a lot, which again adds to the chemical cost, you know. With the completion of phase 2 of the water treatment plant upgrade, we'll have a different settling basin and different technology employed there that should help reduce that with the plate settlers and taking the water off the top of the basin instead of the middle. It should be clearer, should put less strain on the filters. We can afford to run lower courses. Will it be enough to offset maybe some of these increases that we're seeing? You know, I don't know that it'll bring us a big savings, but at least it may hold further increases for a while.
Yeah, the cost of treating water is expensive. And we have to treat it to the standards required, not beyond. So, okay. Anything else?
That was it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day. This is a continuation of the administrative hearings that begun this morning, properly advertised as per our clerk. And this is administrative hearings. There's no public comment. Just by way of introduction, if you could just introduce yourself and your department, please.
Yes, T.K. Shannon, City Attorney with the City of New Brunswick, Director of the Department of Law.
All right. Can you just tell us briefly what it is your department does?
The Law Department represents the City of New Brunswick, the Mayor, and the City Council, in all general matters of legal significance, including but not limited to document preparation, contract preparation, review, drafting, anything to do with the City Council resolutions, ordinances, provide legal advice and guidance on legal matters that involve the City Council itself, department heads and division heads. With respect to litigation, we coordinate any litigation that arises with respect to the city, whether it be handled in-house or with outside special counsel. It is a department that's driven by demand as opposed to, maybe I should put it this way, we are reactive and not necessarily proactive when it comes to budgetary items, because the more involvement the city has with litigation drives up the costs and expenses that the City Department of Law has to expend in connection with those matters. I will also say that we coordinate the Office of the Prosecutor. It's under my department, in the Municipal Court, which employs municipal prosecutors and public defenders, as well as support staff there as well. That's basically the overview.
Thank you. You addressed the fact that it's a reactive department, so there's not a lot of revenue that changes year to year.
That's true, and I know that your next question is are my projections, from last year going to be consistent with this year? We always hope that they're even lower, but I can't predict that because I don't know if the city is going to get sued tomorrow, which will require the expending of funds for either in-house or special counsel outside the city. Obviously, those things are all determined by the activity that we have. So my hope is that we can keep everything pretty much flat from what it was last year. And I don't see anything on the horizon horizon that would cause me to want to allocate more monies in any particular account.
Any major changes in the workforce?
No, we're pretty much staying steady with the amount of people we have. No anticipated change in that regard.
Okay. Are you addressed other expenses in your comments? Anything else you want to add there?
The just your standard operating expenses. Obviously, we have to pay for our legal subscription to LexisNexis, where we do our legal research. We do have some in-print subscriptions that we require in connection with our day-to-day operations, whether it be a law diary or rule books, things of that nature, which are a little more convenient to take to a court proceeding as opposed to try to bring it up on your phone. You have the ability to do that. Copy machines, obviously, our copy machine is very important to the law department. So all that paper that gets generated every other Wednesday is generated by the law department, including the toner and the paper. So those are major expenses when it comes to the law department, for supplies. I wouldn't say that we really have anything else that I need to highlight, other than the fact that we're going to stay steady at our 2 assistant city attorneys, of course, in addition to myself and the same level of support staff.
Any capital requests? 2025?
No. No. The city department of law doesn't have, law vehicles or things of that nature. We don't.
Very lean operation.
Yes, very lean operation.
Mr. Moore, any questions?
No, covered everything quite well, thank you.
All right.
Anything else, Mr. Shannon?
No, I think that's it. I appreciate you hearing me out, an opportunity to present my budget. I will circle back and put these things together and submit them as is necessary in the course of the timetable.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Earlier today, these administrative hearings began, and our clerk properly advertised it. This is a discussion amongst us. There's no public comment, and we're going to be very careful to protect the privacy of employees, not to mention anyone by name or any specific title. So, if you could just introduce yourself and what you're working, what your department you're representing today.
Captain James Hoover, in Brunswick Police Department Administration.
Thank you. All right. So, generally we talk about revenue. Are there revenue lines that the police department, outside of grants, focuses on?
No.
All right. But talk about grants. Does the police department intend to renew its current grants and seek new ones?
Yes, the COPS grant will have to be a discussion for a later date, because as you know, there's operating periods that come into play, and we have to use what we have before we apply for anything else. There's the JAG grant, which we are automatically, I guess you'd call it automatically submitted by per family every year. That's a jointly administered grant, and there's a safe neighborhoods grant. We intend to participate in all of them. One caveat, maybe COPS, depending.
You'll do your due diligence, you always do.
If it makes sense, we'll do it.
All right. Regarding the workforce in 2025, talk to us about any changes in the aggregate that we should be anticipating or discussing.
No, we are just planning and hoping to hire 13 officers in the new year, which we are in the middle of putting together that first group of it for the January class, and they are to replace positions lost through attrition.
perhaps early in 2025?
We have 3 coming out, and in addition to 1 who's already a certified officer, so we'll have 4 officers hitting the road in January. And we're hoping to send somewhere between 3 and 6 to the police academy also in January. They'll be out in the early summer.
So in simplest terms, is it 13 plus this 4?
It is, no, they were considered for last year, for 2024.
Okay.
They just graduate in, the 3 in the academy now graduate in January. They were 2024 hires.
Okay.
So the group going into the academy in January, as well as the August class, 2025 hires, in addition to the officer who's already a certified officer.
So the 13 will come out of the summer and the fall?
Correct.
Police.
Well, January and August, in better terms, yes.
Okay. And they are to replace attrition?
Sir.
All right. Other expenses?
Just the usual operating this year. Nothing major in capital. One thing I submitted for, it's whenever you want to talk about that.
So on the other expenses, you generally have outside contractuals, a lot of technology. You expect that all to?
Yeah, actually I'm glad you brought that up. The 308 account is our technology account. It's a lot, but everything in there is current. And myself, Sergeant Manand, and Amit Patel sat down and went through every single item, and everything is current and reflects the updated pricing, which, as you know,
It
is set by the
seems
vendors.
more and more that the cost is in the licensing.
That's most of that account.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have no control over.
Thank you for continuing to evaluate and analyze it. Capital?
Capital, I have one thing, and that's long-term upgrades to buildings. I don't want to discuss them too in-depth, but there are things, there are going to be maintenance issues that I'm foreseeing in the near future, as well as enhancing other features of building security, to include the court.
Okay. Have you had a conversation with the court already?
I did, yep. And we had our quarterly security meeting last week. And what Kim Milligan and I are aligned on has the full support of the judiciary, who was also present for
the Administrative Office of the Courts?
Correct. And they were present for the meeting.
All right.
Offline, I'd be happy to fill you in on that. But
thank you. Okay. Any, Ms. Moore?
No, I think that's everything for me.
Anything else you'd like to add or questions?
No, sir. No.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Shall we begin?
I don't see why not.
All right. So just a quick reminder, these are administrative hearings this morning. They began this morning, and our city clerk announced they were properly advertised. It's an opportunity for various members of the administration to discuss 2025 budget at the highest level. We will refrain from mentioning employees by name, protect their privacy, and if you could just introduce yourself, as we have a videographer here today, please, and who you are and what your department does.
I am Robert C. Rose. I am the fire director for the City of New Brunswick Fire Department. We protect life and property.
And what divisions are?
910 and 920.
Okay. So one is fire, division of fire.
Division of fire is 910. Fire safety is 920.
Great, thank you. Okay. So your department, outside of grants, really does not have any direct revenue, so we'll go right to discussion on grants. Do you intend to continue to renew the grants you do have, if it's so available, and seek new ones where possible?
We are in that process now. Yep.
Thank you.
We actually have a pretty active grant group that are always seeking new grants.
Yes, you do. All right. And then in 2025, your workforce, do you intend to have any major changes in terms of any major retirements or any other things that are notable?
Yeah, I would say we will have, we've had 2 retirements recent, and we will have at least 4 or 5 more. And we are looking to hire about 7 new firefighters.
The 2 retirements recent, those are 24, they're gonna happen in 25.
They happen right here at the end of the year.
And they're gonna impact your, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And the 7 that you're gonna hire would be to replace the attrition?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, and your other expenses, your other expenses, other contractuals, any material changes there you expect?
Not much, but 1 or 2. There was a change in account 308. Looking to about $10,000 change in that account, and that's due to our radio equipment, batteries, and microphones and stuff are old, and we need to replace them.
Personal or vehicle?
The personal ones, yeah.
When I say personal, you mean on the body of the firefighter?
Yep,
Personal vehicle, yeah, okay.
And what else? Account 313. Need to buy 2 new thermal imaging cameras, which will increase that account by $16,000.
Replacement or addition?
Replacement.
How long they usually last for?
We've had those for probably about, well, you gotta add COVID in, probably about 10 years almost. Yeah.
Okay.
They either go bad or they just get outdated, you know. No longer.
Is one worth more than $5,000 a purchase?
Yeah, there's like $8,500 for the one that goes in the truck, and the one that goes to where personally is about $6,000.
Okay.
And then vehicle repair, which just usually increases by about 10% each year. It's just it's good to be a fire truck repair person or vendor nowadays. They get paid. And in addition to, we have probably half of our fleet is pretty old, and so the maintenance cost is rising. Like one vehicle now, we're replacing the transmission.
You have been pretty good about making sure that we're replacing these trucks again.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we've done well over the several years, and you know, we just still have some that our oldest truck is like a 95, and that's either out of service a lot or in the shop a lot.
is that a reserve or is that?
That's a reserve. Well, yeah, it's reserved now. Yeah.
Deputy Chief, you want to introduce yourself?
Deputy Chief of Sanitation, Deputy Chief of Administration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on other expenses?
I think. Oh, 323 is. That's going to stay the same, actually. That's gonna stay the same. We have to get new turnout gear for the new hires, but that should cover it. My 524 tuition and training, I'm looking to increase that by about $8,000. And that's just because of the state's requiring us some mandatory training that wasn't mandatory before.
Right.
So,
How about capital?
Capital, I've only put one in, but I actually have three. I put one in for a fire engine. I'm gonna put one in for turnout gear for the department, new turnout gear.
Department-wide?
Yeah. And then there was one for some computer and IT equipment.
Fire engine, can you help me identify which one you're replacing or?
Would be engine 15, is that the one?
Correct.
Engine 15 is the one that's the 95.
And forgive me, is that I know there's ladder truck pumpers.
That's a fire pumper.
Pumper.
Yeah.
And then the turnout gear, you referenced in 323, new hire turnout gear,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be in both places, would it?
Well, it would, but everybody needs 2 sets of gear.
Okay.
So that would be their first set, and then that would give them a second set. And that also includes fire safety as well.
Oh, okay. Some more, right?
No, I think all my questions were covered here.
Anything else, gentlemen?
No, that's it for 910.
All right, let's go. Fire safety, please. All right, are you going, I'm sorry to jump to the bottom, but it's fresh in my head. Are you going to put the capital for the turnout gear for the fire safety in that division?
No, I don't put it, it's all on fire.
Okay, can you just make sure you make a note of that?
Okay. They usually get new gear when we get new gear.
All right, do you expect any major changes in the workforce in fire safety?
Yeah, well, I'm looking to hire another inspector.
This is an additional,
An
not a
additional,
replacement.
yeah, an additional inspector.
Okay.
And also, I need to hire a full-time secretary.
Okay.
And other than that, I believe we had a minor increase in overtime. That was based on number of calls that on-duty inspectors have to come out to. It was up a little bit. And I think we increased some on board ups.
Okay.
And that was it.
Okay. Anything on capital?
Not for this year.
Some all right? For me? Anything else, John?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you for being so prepared.
Thank you.
Had more time. Thank you.
Hello, Leslie.
Sir, how are you? Did you
Good.
need to close the budget hearing?
You are just in time. It's like you can hear the.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you.
Excuse me. The time is now
Oh.
3:30
Hold on.
p.m.
Oh, wait, hold on.
One more thing, in fire
If
safety.
the cost form, the hearings are closed.
Fire safety, I put in for, Jen looked up a position, supervisory position for Sherry. Because.
No names, please. No
Oh,
names,
I'm
please.
sorry. A supervisory position where she has to fill in for the fire official when they're away.
Thank you. Going once, twice?
That's it, that's
All
it.
The time is now 3:31 p.m. and this concludes our 2025 departmental budget hearings.